The morning sun spilled across the chrome edges of Maplewood Diner, a place where the smell of butter and syrup usually promised warmth and comfort. But on this particular day, the light couldn't erase the darkness that crept into the hearts of a few cruel boys. At a booth near the window sat a girl in a wheelchair, her plate of pancakes resting in front of her like a fragile shield against the world. Her name was Clara, and though her face carried the quiet strength of someone who had endured much, her trembling hands betrayed her deep unease. She was 17, and every public outing was a battle against pity and worse contempt. The boys at the next booth were about the same age, swaggering with the false confidence that comes from moving in a pack. They didn't just laugh at her whispered, awkward attempts to speak to the waitress. They crossed a line that should never be crossed. One of them, a broad-shouldered boy named Jason, leaned over and slapped the plate from her lap with a sickening crack, sending the food and broken ceramic crashing to the tiled floor. The sound was sharp, louder than a gunshot in the morning quiet, and another boy immediately followed up with a mocking shove to her wheelchair, pushing it slightly back against the wall. The entire diner froze. The laughter of the bullies, high-pitched, vicious, and utterly triumphant, rang louder than the clatter of falling plates. Clara's eyes welled instantly with tears she fought desperately to hold back. Humiliation burned hotter than any physical pain she had ever endured. It was the feeling of being utterly powerless, judged, and mocked for a condition she couldn't change. If you believe that cruelty should always meet consequence, and that those who stand up for the weak are the true heroes, take a moment right now to like this video and join our community. Your support ensures the voices of those who deliver justice are heard here on Trauma Chronicles. Clara's life had never been easy. She was born with a severe spinal condition that left her reliant on a wheelchair and complicated every movement, but her parents always told her that her spirit was meant to soar, even if her legs could not carry her. She clung to that belief, though the world often seemed determined to crush it under the weight of its indifference. Every day, she faced quiet stares, whispered remarks, or the pitying smiles of strangers who couldn't imagine her life. But what she faced that morning in the Maplewood Diner went far beyond pity. It was calculated cruelty sharp enough to wound the soul and leave permanent emotional scars. As the boys jeered, mocking her attempts to reach the shattered plate, the patrons in the diner lowered their heads. They avoided eye contact. Some shook their heads in silent disapproval, muttering, "Shameful," but none moved. The waitress, her hands full of coffee cups, froze in the aisle, fear etched deeply on her face. She knew Jason and his friends were trouble, known for their aggression in the small town. Clara bent down awkwardly, trying to gather the mess with trembling hands, desperate not to make more of a scene than she already had. She was overwhelmed by the urge to disappear entirely. That's when a hand reached down, not rough, not mocking, but gentle and slow. An older man, gray at the temples and wearing a faded flannel shirt, quietly picked up the remaining pieces of ceramic and set them aside. "Don't mind them, sweetie," he whispered, but his eyes darted nervously toward the gang of teenagers. His kindness was a small candle flickering in a room full of aggressive shadows, but Clara still felt exposed, broken in ways no one could see. She sat quietly after that, her appetite gone, her throat tight with unshed tears. She wanted to scream, to ask why the world worked this way, why people thought it was acceptable to torment those who were different, those who were defenseless. Her heart thudded in her chest, with each burst of mean laughter from the bullies, who now bragged loudly about their bravery and dominance, oblivious to the disgusting nature of their actions. Clara closed her eyes and prayed for the hour to pass quickly, for the nightmare to simply end. She felt the heavy silence of the bystanders pressing down on her, the silent complicity of the good people who did nothing. An hour later, the atmosphere in the diner shifted completely, dramatically. It began as a low rumble, almost like distant thunder rolling through the small town streets. Heads turned toward the wide glass windows, as the sound grew louder, deeper, and instantly more distinct. Dozens of powerful motorcycles rolled into the parking lot, their chrome glinting violently under the harsh midday sun. The sight alone was enough to make conversations hush and forks freeze in midair. The unmistakable insignia of the Sons of Retribution, a local, notorious biker club known for its rigid code of conduct and fierce loyalty, was emblazoned on their heavy leather jackets. They parked in a perfect, intimidating line, their large engines growling like an approaching storm ready to unleash fury. The bullies, who just moments ago had carried themselves with arrogant invincibility, suddenly grew restless. Their smirks faltered, their eyes wide with poorly concealed fear. Everyone knew the reputation of this club: fierce, fearless, and absolutely unafraid to stand their ground, especially against perceived injustice. When the heavy wooden door of the diner swung open, the bell jingled softly, but the silence that followed the club's entrance was deafening. A towering man with a thick, iron-gray beard and steel-hard eyes walked in. his vest heavy with patches and authority. His name was Rourke, the club's president. Behind him came another biker, and then another, until the diner felt impossibly smaller, its air charged with a palpable, dangerous tension. Clara's eyes widened, her pulse racing with a mix of fear and an almost unbelievable sense of hope. The other patrons shrank back. Rourke, the leader, slowly scanned the room, his gaze razor-sharp as it swept over the corner where the terrified bullies sat. Then, his eyes softened, instantly, profoundly, when they landed on Clara and the shattered plate at her feet. It was as though he understood everything without a single word being spoken, taking in the scene, the trembling girl, the messy floor, the pale teenagers in one swift, commanding look. He stepped closer, his boots heavy and deliberate on the tiled floor, and then, in a gesture that drew every single eye in the room, he knelt beside her wheelchair. For the first time since that morning, Clara didn't feel small or ashamed. She felt seen, protected. Rourke turned his head slowly, deliberately, toward the bullies. They sat frozen, their pale faces betraying their absolute, crushing guilt. No one dared laugh now. Rourke's voice was low, steady, but powerful enough to cut through the silence like a knife through butter. Though Clara couldn't hear his exact words over her ringing ears, she saw the raw shame wash over the bullies' faces as their bravado melted away into pathetic terror. He spoke about respect. He spoke about courage. He spoke about the true meaning of power, not what you take, but what you protect. One by one, under the weight of Rourke's silent command and the stares of every biker standing behind him, the boys slid out of their booth and stumbled toward the exit, heads lowered, avoiding every gaze. They didn't dare meet Clara's eyes again. Outside, the motorcycles formed a wall of steel and leather, ensuring the boys' humiliation was complete before they were allowed to flee the parking lot, their quick footsteps crunching on the gravel in a desperate, panicked retreat. But Rourke didn't stop there. He called over the waitress, who was visibly shaking, placed a massive $100 bill on the table, and told her to bring Clara anything she wanted: pancakes, milkshake, pie, the whole damn menu if she likes. He leaned in closer to Clara, his voice becoming gentle. He told her she was stronger than any of the cowards who had just tried to break her spirit. Then, in a gesture no one in that diner would ever truly forget, Rourke reached up, removed his own heavy leather vest, the one covered with the club's intimidating patches, draped it gently across Clara's shoulders, and told her she was now family. Tears streamed down Clara's face, not tears of humiliation, but tears of immense, overwhelming gratitude. In that single, transformative hour, her life had shifted. What began as a morning of pain became a moment of profound, unexpected consequence. She realized cruelty existed, yes, but so did courage, and sometimes the fiercest-looking people carried the softest, most unwavering hearts. The diner erupted in quiet, respectful applause. Patrons wiped tears from their eyes. The waitress hugged Clara, promising her that she'd never again sit in that diner feeling invisible or unprotected. For the first time in a long time, Clara felt a surge of genuine hope. She realized that though injustice might start the story, courage and consequence could step in to rewrite the ending. The true power belonged to those who protected the vulnerable, not those who preyed upon them. If this story of unexpected justice touched your heart and reminded you that consequence finds cruelty even in the most unlikely of places, please take a moment to share this video with friends who need to witness this truth. We here at Chroma Chronicles believe every injustice deserves a reckoning, whether delivered by law or by the unbreakable code of those who ride for justice. Before we end, we want to hear from you. Comment below what you would have said to Rourke, the leader, when he knelt beside Clara. Your words honor his action. We have more powerful stories of justice and unexpected heroes. Click on the video now showing the guardian angel for another chronicle of righteousness. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss another deep dive into the moments where the silent are protected and the bullies finally pay their price. Thank you for witnessing this powerful story. This is Chroma Chronicles, signing off.